This time on Street Rat Garage, the neglected stepchild, my 1977 Monte Carlo. We're finally going to get back on that. So this car has been a perpetual project since the day I bought it, way back in 1987. Yes, I have had it that long. I bought it when I was in high school. I drove it. I had a good time in it, and I blew the engine. Actually, I blew a head gasket, repaired that head gasket, blew that engine, put another engine in, blew that one. About 3 different engines, cam swaps, all that stuff. One day, it just sat for like 20 years. Then I decided to start putting it back together. Did some body work, put some fenders on, found a fiberglass hood, all sorts of stuff. But like a lot of projects, I wanted it to be nice. I wanted it to be clean and just everything right with it. And it didn't get done. It still hasn't got done. It still sits here. I tried to make a couple videos on it. We were gonna LS swap it. We're gonna hellcat swap it. Actually, we're still gonna do that, but parts for a hellcat red eye are expensive. So we've been slowly gathering parts, and I still have thousands of dollars to go until I can put this hellcat engine in this car. But I am starting to lose motivation on it again, and it has sat here for yet another year without doing anything. It's been right there in that corner, collecting all the junk, being used as a shelf, as storage. And again, this is what happens to your project car. So I often say, work on your project car, don't let it sit there, at least get it running, you know. As David Freiberger says, don't make it right, just make it run. We need to do that, and we're gonna do that today on Street Rat Garage. So yes, this has turned into an overall catch-all. It has some parts from the car on it. Actually, most of these parts are from the car and some extra things, and it's got dust, and this is from where we're gonna LS swap it and put a turbo on it, which, you know, we'll do that to another car. What's in the trunk? I can't even remember. Oh, look. A lot of interior parts that never got put on the car. I can't even remember what I did to the interior. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, mouse guy, mouse guy, mouse, hey, mouse guy. No, out. You gotta go. Oh, he ran under the back seat. And it's been collecting mice, apparently. Yup. Well, another reason not to let your car sit around, it turns into a mouse hotel. So we can't have that. I've already done too much work to let the mice go back in and start living in it again. It was pretty bad the last time. And yeah, not gonna happen again. So let's get the eviction notices out, get this pulled out, get all the junk out of it. Let's make this run again. Now, in order to get the Monte Carlo running again, we're gonna have to do something some of you are not going to like. We have a good engine and transmission right there. Yeah, this is our 69 Chevelle that we took on Hot Rod Power Tour. But did we really take it? We kind of trailered it and then drove it around, but it made Hot Rod Power Tour this year. I want to take it out on Hot Rod Power Tour again next year, but I don't want to go with this same engine and transmission deal. We want to upgrade this car and make it better and actually drive it on Hot Rod Power Tour this time. So we don't need this, and half the parts from this car actually belong to the Monte Carlo to begin with. So we're going to use this engine and this transmission in the Monte Carlo just to get it running and moving again. So, you know, it's not sitting there collecting dust as, you know, it has been for the past who knows how long. And we're going to take these wheels and tires and put them on the Monte Carlo too, because they were originally bought for the Monte Carlo to go on Hot Rod Power Tour in 2019. That didn't get done. So yeah, not to worry. We are going to take the Chevelle apart, but definitely going to come back bigger and better than ever next year. I don't know what I'm going to do. I may put that LS in it that I was going to put in the Monte Carlo, or maybe a big block. I haven't decided yet. Automatic, 4-speed car, something. But we'll decide that later. Take this apart, take the wheels off, cover it up, set it outside until spring. Okay, now let's get the old Chevy Hell pulled in. Garage here. Last raw for a while. Is that in park? Yep, it's in park. Okay, that's it for the Chevelle, at least for now. Oh man, I feel kind of bad for doing this. It sounds so good and it looks awesome just the way it is, but we're gonna make it better, so don't worry about it. At least I get to work inside for a change. When's the last time that has happened? I can't remember, but I think I bought this radiator for the Monte Carlo as well. Did I? I don't know. It seems a little bit big for this car, so was it supposed to go in the Chevelle? I think it was supposed to go in the Monte Carlo. I think it was supposed to go in the Monte Carlo. Okay, so it was in the Monte Carlo, yes. It was in the Monte Carlo before. We took this out because I set an engine in the Monte Carlo and that went bad. And this radiator was for the Monte Carlo and was actually in the Monte Carlo at one time. So let's get it back in there. If I remember right, I put fresh coolant in here. So let's try to save that. Pretty sure it was coolant. Oh, come on. That stuff is, it's not cheap. So we're gonna recycle. Well, we're gonna recycle a lot of it. Some of it's on the ground. That's the bottom hose. That is the top hose, and more coolant running out of the top. There we go. Whoops. Come on. More mess. More. Tilt it the other way. Stop making a mess. Where's my bucket? Okay. There we go. I didn't have the transmission lines hooked to this radiator. It goes to an external cooler, so that makes it even easier to take the radiator out. It took like 2 minutes. See, I have this this cooler right here, and the transmission lines just run through here, and it's in front of the radiator there, so it gets some good airflow. And actually, that cooler also came out of the Monte Carlo, so I kind of had it running at one point, but the engine went bad, and it got taken all apart and sat again like normal. So I was this close to having it running the last time, and we just didn't quite make it. Got discouraged and shoved it in there and said we're going to do all sorts of great things to it, and still haven't got there. So concentrate. Let's make it run. Now, let's get this jacked up, go underneath, and look at what we need to do on the underside of this. I'm going to try to keep as many things as possible connected to the engine. So I'm hoping that this will come out. I know it'll come out with just the engine and transmission by itself, but I'm hoping that it'll clear the headers as well. I'm not sure if it will, but we're going to unbolt them and find out. Well, let's crawl under here and see what we need to do. So apparently I was in a hurry because these bolts for the crossmember, they're not only not tight, they're almost ready to fall out. And it doesn't look like I even put a bolt in the transmission mount there. I hooked up the speedo cable. That's a plus. Not that it works, or that I needed it. But let's unflange these headers, probably at the flange. This probably won't come out off of here, and let's hope that this will clear our cross member. Oftentimes these headers get stuck right there, but if we have to take it off, it's no big deal. But I would like to pull this off in one piece, so let's get this out of here. This exhaust is just a semi-universal. I think it's for A-body cars. Just comes in a bunch of pieces. You can use clamps or you can weld it together. I chose to use the clamps because just because of this, really. I know I'm always taking things apart and putting them back together. So this was just supposed to be a temporary thing until I get a good exhaust system. And it's still temporary because I'm taking it in and out of this car. This was also supposed to be for the Monte Carlo, so don't feel bad about that either. And this transmission was, well, it originally started out for a Nova, I think I had it in. Then I think it was in the Monte Carlo at one time, and then maybe the Firebird and the Trans Am. It's been in several vehicles, and I've had it built for probably 20 years, and it's probably been in 5 different cars. So it's a good transmission. It's only a TH350, and it's held up to all the abuse. That's one side. We do the other side. Yep. That one's loose too, except I remember loosening this one in order to fix the transmission leak that it had. I don't even know why I need to loosen that when I'm taking the flanges off, but I am, and I did already. Now this exhaust system was only like, I don't know, 300, 350, something like that. It wasn't very expensive. It came with 2 mufflers and exhaust all the way out the back, but I dumped it right before the rear end. Did it go all the way back? I can't remember. I can't remember if it went over the rear end. It might not have. It might have just went to the rear end, and then I went and got some dumps for it to dump it right before the rear end on the ground there. But the exhaust system on this, for the cheap, no brand mufflers, it sounds really, really good. And I definitely recommend it. I mean, pretty sure it was on Amazon. Just type in Amazon Universal Exhaust or A-Body Exhausts or Chevelle Exhaust, or, well, I bought it for a Monte Carlo, so. And it was like almost 4 years ago now that I bought this exhaust, so the price probably has gone up like everything else. But if you can get it for $400, it's still going to be a good deal. Well, everything should be good underneath. I loosened this carburetor up. Yeah, let's get it off here without dropping a washer down the intake. Didn't see that one. Now this carburetor, I think it's a 750, but this was tuned by a local guy that works at a race shop here. Not a race shop, a professional racing team. And he really knows his stuff. I mean, he has his carburetor tuned in so well. Way better than, just taking it out of the box from Holley and slapping it on. That's an older carburetor, and it runs better than anything that I've ever pulled out of the box and slapped on a car. But let's should we pull the distributor out just so we don't hit it on anything? I think that might be a good idea too. I'm just going to pull this cap off and set it up here and make a middle note of where this distributor is. It's almost pointed at number 1. It's pointed about, I don't know, in between 3, well, probably about at 3. But we'll just pop this out, hopefully remember where it's set, and then drop it in without turning the engine. So it should fire back up without any issues. But I just don't want to bust this distributor or the rotor or anything. So plus I want to put another pull right here on the intake, so it makes it a little bit easier to yank this thing out. All right, take that bracket out, holding down the distributor. Wiggle this guy around a little bit. Yeah, still attached to the distributor. Pop that off of there. Now, and that vacuum canister is loose on there. It's supposed to be sort of welded to that bracket, and it's loose. I don't know if we have another one or not, but that's going to affect our vacuum advance a little bit right there. So, oh, we have a bad gasket there. It must have been leaking out of the back. It looks like I was already thinking about the engine, and I already put a pull here and one there, little loop thingy. So I already knew that I was going to pull this back out. So, well, this intake is dirty. It's been leaking from that distributor there a little bit. So let's get a chain on here and start pulling that. Don't forget our motor mounts, engine mounts down below. And what about the accessories? I do not think we got the long water pump on there, and I don't think we're going to get, we're definitely not going to get that out of there with the long water pump alternator and the big long pulley at the bottom. So we're going to need as much room as we can to pull this out the front. Now, if it was a Monte Carlo, we got an extra 3 feet on the front of that, and we could probably have a fan on the front of the engine and pull it out. But pull the accessories off, put a chain on it, undo the engine mounts, and then we're going to be ready to pull this. I got all the accessories off of the front of the engine here. Now that'll give us plenty of room. We must have almost 1.5 feet, 2 foot of room. We're going to have to raise this up and then tilt it and bring it out at an angle. Hopefully, like I said, the header's clear. I'm worried about this. It is not very far away from this cross member. I'm worried I'm not going to get that out. Worst case scenario, we'll pull the plugs and the headers off. But I wanted to show you this exhaust system right here. I mean, this is pretty much it, how it comes. You get this X pipe, it's welded right in here in the center, and you get these two, they're generic mufflers, but man, they sound good. They're not real noisy, but when you wrap it up, it has a really nice tone. Almost like a Flowmaster, but not quite. And then I just put a couple dumps on the back. And this is all just clamped together. Later, when it's in a permanent car, we'll just go ahead and weld it together. But this makes it easy in case I have to adjust it or whatever. And it's already been in 2 different cars, and it's going back in the Monte Carlo again. So yeah, and then it'll come out of the Monte Carlo eventually and then go in something else. So definitely not going to weld it together now. Let's get the chain. We got the chain. So we got the chain on here. Carburetor's off, distributor's out, accessories off. We got to pull, we'll lift on it, pull these engine mount bolts out. They're already loose, and see if we can slide this out. All right, we'll just bring our engine hoist in here and hook up our chain, give her a few pumps. I had to bring my my good engine hoist from home because I just have a Harbor Freight one up here, and it's not long enough to clear these long A-body front ends. So if you're thinking about getting one from Harbor Freight, make sure you have a short car. All right. Let's pull this up just a hair to get the tension off of the motor mounting bolts. Is that enough? It's making some noise. Oh, not quite enough. Is it enough yet? Not enough yet. Let me check the other side. No, still stuck in there. Okay, just gotta move it around a little bit. There we go. There's one side out. Let's grab that other side real quick. Not the easiest thing to get out of there. I don't think these engine mounts are lined up properly. Usually when you get one side out, you can get the other side, so try to take the easy side out first, and then get to the hard side like this one that's in between the headers. There we go. There's the other one. Now I am ready to pull it out, and again, I really don't think this is going to come out with the header in there like that. So I think we're going to do a time lapse, play a little music, and you won't have to watch me struggle. Well, you'll have to watch me struggle, but we'll do it in ×4. So let's get going. Well, got him all out on the ground here, and looking it over, everything looks pretty good. I think I got a pinched line, and might have been where a little bit of that fluid was coming from. I replaced this kickdown cable because it was leaking really bad on Power Tour, and I think when I put it in, I kinked one of the transmission lines just a hair, and it was causing it to leak because that's loose there a little bit. So we're going to redo these hacked up transmission lines for sure. What else are we gonna do? Check out these exhaust gaskets because they're a little dark on the outsides where they shouldn't be. And yeah, basically just drop it right on back in. Had to take the headers off, and I should have known I had to because I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that I put them in after I put the engine in this car. So I don't know why I thought I could take it out like I could the big Monte Carlo. Well, let's clean things up here, get this pushed out, and center the Monte Carlo in place, and let's get to dropping this thing in that car. Now, while I have it up in the air, I'm gonna go ahead and snag off these wheels because the Chevelle's gonna sit outside covered up for a while. The Monte Carlo will still stay inside. And I don't want these wheels to get all nasty, and I don't want them to wander off. Plus, these are for the Monte Carlo anyway. We'll get the Chevelle its own set of rims. Maybe the same thing, but they're a little bit big on the back, and they just rub the inside of the fender well. That's why I have air shocks on the back to lift them up so they don't rub. It'd be nice to set the car down a little bit. Those are 10-inch rims. I probably could still use a 10-inch, but with just a little more narrow tire, because there's a good inch and a half just in tire sticking out. So if we suck that in just a little bit, I'm pretty sure we can clear. So I'll look at ordering another set because these really look good on this car. I think I have a set of skinnies, 4-inch skinnies that I didn't use. So maybe I can use the 4-inch skinnies and the 10 inches on the back. That would look good. We will just swap these over. It has rallies on it. I think I got 3 that are the same. The 4th one blew a tire at one point. These These rims I bought years and years ago. I think I bought them for this car. I can't remember, but they're kind of wide. They got wides on the front. Oh, well, they got wides all the way around. I think I paid like 300 bucks and they had brand new tires on it. And now the tires are so old that they're really no good. So I pretty much bought the rims and just wasted the tires. All right, let's do the old swap-a-rooney on here. And these rotors are starting to rust up. These were new rotors. I bought these, well, they still are new rotors, but I bought them in 2019 when I was trying to get this ready for Hot Rod Power Tour. Rotors, pads, and calipers, plus, you know, wheel bearings and all that other fun stuff. And now, I don't think it's too late, but it's really, really close. We've got to get this car moving down the street. It might have pulsing in there because it's right where the caliper is sitting is still nice and smooth, but the rest of it has rust on it. So we might get a little vibration, but hopefully, since it's been sitting inside, it'll just knock that off and self-adjust and be okay. Because these are brand new. They don't have any miles on them. All right, there's that. I had to leave the center cap off because it's not deep enough to fit over the hub. It's hitting on the inside. You can see it. Well, I can see it. It's rubbed in there. That's weird because it should have about the same. No, that has drum brakes. This has disc brakes on the front. But I just wonder if I put the front ones on the back and the back ones on the front, I'll have to see if the back ones are deeper. That would be dumb if I did, but worst case scenario, I need one that's about 1 inch longer, and I'm pretty sure I can order that from Jags really cheap. All right, on to the bigger tires on the back, and took the cap off, and they're the same size, so I just need to order a little bit deeper cap for the front. I'm not sure why they think that's a deep enough cap, especially for front runners. Oh well. Must be cheaper. Well, in order to get to that back wheels, I'm going to have to push this up a little bit. I haven't evicted our friends yet, and I hope he doesn't have a whole bunch of other friends sitting in here waiting for me to lean in this car. So wherever you are, Mr. Mousy, you just stay there, and I'll come for you later. All right, let's push this out a little bit. Probably a dozen of them living in here. Oh, come on. Move. Move. Are the tires up on this, on the back? It's up. That one's up. Must be because those brakes are rusted up. Wow, that is a rough, oh yeah, it also has a mini spool in it, so I got the wheels turned. So that is definitely gonna make it harder to push in a straight line. So let's straighten those wheels up a little bit and try pushing it out. Oh yeah, that's way better. Mostly way better. Okay, it's just better. Not way better. There we go. That should be enough room. Now in 2019, I replaced this rear end with it's still a 10-bolt rear end, but it has Mosier axles on it. It has a mini spool in it, and I think it has 320 somethings, or I don't know. I can't remember the gear size. It's less than a 350. 320. Is there a 323? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Oh, and it has rear disc brakes on it. So we did all that fun stuff. So you can see how these discs are starting to rust up pretty good on it. So we really need to get these out. It's got the elongated studs on it. And I also put, are those adjustable ones? The 4 adjustable trailing arms. The uppers are adjustable. So there's upper adjustables. I can't remember, did I replace the springs or I just painted those? I can't remember. I think I just painted the springs. Those are original springs. And we got the upper adjustables. Yeah, those are just solid on the bottoms. And we have the rear end. It's Tim Bolden. It's got the what do you call that? The pressure that puts the pressure on the end caps. So we got all that. So pretty good rear end. I don't know, 500-600 horsepower without, you know, busting it loose on the track. Probably more on the street, but good enough rear end right now. One of these days, maybe we'll put a 12 bolt in it or a 9-inch probably, but this is going to be good for right now. All right, got our rims on there. Those long studs really help to get everything centered, but that's what it looks like. You can see this center cap, it really doesn't look right even on the back. It really should stick out about another inch. I don't know why they gave such a short center cap with such a thick rim. Well, it looks like we got all the parts we need off of the Chevelle. And whoops, I forgot the transmission cooler. Is it even bolted in here? Nope, of course it's not. Oh, and it's spilling transmission fluid all over the place, of course. There we go. We'll need this, so let's set this to the side. All right, let's get our hood back on here so we can get this pushed back outside where it doesn't belong, but we need the room to work on other stuff. And without any good parts on it to get lost, it will be safe and sound. We'll cover it with a tarp and collect parts for it. We need to do the whole front suspension on this car. We need some tubular A-arms, maybe some disc brakes, maybe some adjustable shocks on the front, sway bars. We need interior, pretty much everything. Steering wheel. The dashboard's okay, it's got one big crack in it. Floor pans, I mean, the list goes on. So over the winter, we're gonna start ordering parts for this car. Come springtime, we're gonna have a big bunch of parts just laying around, and we will dig into this car, getting it ready for Hot Rod Power Tour 2024. Okay, here we go. Oop, there goes the drive shaft. Forgot to take that out. Okay, got the car pushed all the way outside and covered up with this tarp. Yes, I know this is not a waterproof one, and it's not even in good shape, but I put a tarp that's covering about half of this up, especially where this back window is. And then we'll come in and, you know, run to Harbor Freight when we come back and cover it all up again. Take that one off so no moisture gets under there for this winter. But this is where it's gonna sleep for the rest of the winter until springtime with, you know, everybody else. So it will have plenty of company. Well, made quite the mess today, so I'm gonna clean this stuff up so we're not lying in this when we're trying to get this engine in that car. Then we'll get this pulled out, get the hood off. We got a little prep work to do in order to put this in. Not much. We got to put some motor mounts in, engine mounts in, and yeah, just get the lines, some gaskets, and fluids, all that stuff we need. So I'll be back after I get all this cleaned up, and then we'll start putting this engine in that car. Okay, we got everything cleaned up. It is another day, and it's cold. I had to shut the doors, so hopefully it's not too dark in here. But everything is cleaned up now. We'll move the car up and we'll start taking the hood and everything off. We got frame mounts to put on because we're putting solid frame mounts on here and on the engine. So we got to take the old mounts off. The old mounts are off of this. We got to take the old mounts off of the engine, put the solid mounts on, and start getting this thing put into the car. Now I'm going to assume that our little mouse friend is probably still with us. I mean, why would he move when he's living rent-free? So, you in there? Okay. This is moving day. Okay, don't jump on me. Let's just move this out a little bit. Give us a little more room. This thing is so heavy. Holy cow, it's heavy. There we go. Yeah, that should be good enough. Oh, and it's rolling back into place. Just needed angled out a little bit so we can get to both sides. Now let's get this hood popped up and get those frame mounts installed. Now this is a fiberglass hood. I don't even know who it's made by. Didn't have a name on it. I drove all the way to Florida from Indiana to get this hood. You don't see a whole lot of cowl hoods for a second gen Monte Carlo, that's for sure. So let me grab a couple tools. We'll take this hood off, get it out of the way, then we'll start working on our frame mounts. And we also need to clean some of this junk off of the top so we have a place to set the hood. This is the center console that belongs in the car. It's not the original one to the car, but I found another Monte Carlo center console that will get put in there. I took the original center console out years and years ago. And, you know, back when this car really wasn't worth anything and I was just modifying and changing stuff up. What's that? Sandpaper, seals, stuff for another project, of course. And yeah, I took the center console out and put in one from a Camaro. So I had Camaro bucket seats in there, the Camaro console, and it just didn't look right. The original stuff is way better. It was designed for the car. There's even mouse droppings on top of the car. Get those out of the way. So nasty, this poor car. It's been so abused almost all of its life. Now we can come in here and get this fiberglass hood off real quick. It's not really a one-person job, but one person's gonna do it. Okay, there's one side off. Just lower it gently. Don't hit the glass. Get the other back one out. I already undid the two front bolts. So you do the front ones first, so the hood doesn't just flop over on you. Mess something up. Almost there. There it is. Oh, that one's gone. All right. Tilt it forward a little bit. This is way lighter than the original hood. You should see me trying to wrestle an original Monte Carlo hood off by myself. It's not pretty. It must weigh 100 pounds and it's awkward. This thing's awkward, but only weighs like 20 pounds maybe. There we go. All right. You got those light hood springs on there, so you can just push those down. You can't do that with the original ones. Now next up we have our solid engine mounts. I really prefer these because I don't like dampering in the engine. I like to be able to feel what the engine is doing, and that with the solid mounts it vibrates up through the frame and, you know, right through your body, and you know exactly how that engine is running. A lot of people don't like that. That's why you got the rubber in the engine mounts to dampen that vibration. So some people like it, some people don't. If you like to feel your car, and especially if you have a big cam in it, you use these solid engine mounts. So I already taken the old ones out. I'm gonna get some bolts. We're gonna bolt these in and we'll come back and have a look at this. I got the frame mounts on, I got the engine mounts on. So that's what it looks like when they're on. I mean, you're only putting it in with 3 holes because that other one, it doesn't line up. But that's the way it is. It's fine, no big deal. So it's a little bit difficult to put it in. That's why I didn't film it, because you have to go up through the A-arms and use a swivel and a small socket to put your nut in there. And then you have to shine your flashlight way up in there and then reach around and screw it down and then hit it from the top. But it takes about a half an hour to put 2 engine mounts in. It's a little difficult. If you didn't have A-frames in there, A-arms in there, it'd be a whole lot easier, like on the engine. So just takes 2 minutes to put those on. So got the engine mounts on, solid. The frame mounts are on, so we are ready to try to swing this thing in and get it lined up. I still have the cross member in. Hopefully I can get that in, the transmission in, without having to take that cross member out. We have so much more room in this Monte Carlo than we do the Chevelle. So we got all this room to work with, so it should not be any big deal. The only issue we have is this front end's even longer, and we might have some difficulties with the engine hoist reaching in that far. But plus we got this giant bumper on the front, so that adds another about 3 or 4 inches. Let's get the engine, get it wheeled around here, and get it dropped. Now we just need to roll this guy around here, and we got a crack in the floor. Now we're getting stuck on, there we go. Now the only other problem is I have jacked the car up in the front end, so it makes it easier to get under. So hopefully I will have enough clearance to get this engine in there. We're gonna have to go up pretty high. I got it a couple feet off of the floor, and I'm starting to drip transmission fluid. I tied a bag around the end of the tail shaft, but yeah, it's starting to leak anyway. Oh. All right, just about out of up. The engine's actually touching the frame of the engine hoist, and our transmission leak is getting worse. We're gonna have to get some more oil dry after this. So let's get this lined up nice and smooth. Hopefully it doesn't drop on the front end of our car. See, now that's the issue. I'm hitting the bumper here. I can't go in any further because it's so long. But when I crane this down, it's gonna start moving forward. Hopefully it clears before it gets caught on the core support. So down we go. Nice and, ooh, slow. Come on, slow. Nice and slow. There we go. Oh boy, that is not clearing very well. Come on, a little bit more. Back. Whoa, easy there. Well, that's self-adjusting. That's why you keep your hands out of the way. Come on, get in there. Get in there, past the core support. Lift up a little bit. There she goes. Got hung up there for a moment. Always keep your fingers up high because that could drop at any moment and could get nasty. A little bit more. Oh, looks like she's hung up on something. What do we have here? Oh yeah, engine mount is on the transmission pan. I don't want to bend that, so we will get the jack and move that out of the way. I got it caught right there. The look of the transmission pan is right on the engine mount, so I put the jack underneath there. I'm just using my foot here to raise it up just a hair until we clear that. All right, well, doesn't want to clear, so we need a pry bar. Or maybe this piece of row bar that I've had for years and years and I never put into a car, but it has come in so handy. as a pry bar. There it goes. Just for this situation. Now we're all crazy sideways. The chain is moved a little bit. All that fun stuff. We can let it down a little bit more, use the jack and use the engine hoist to guide it into position. This is another one of those two-person jobs where we only have one person. So you just have to do the best you have and try not to die. Come on, get in there. It's gonna get hung up. We need a longer reach. This car is too long for this. So we may have to set the engine down and let it rest on the cradle and reposition our chain. All right, what I did is I went ahead and I took the chain from here, it dropped through a slot, and I moved it out here, and that gave us a couple more inches. Then, you know, did the old move the hook back and put the screwdriver through it trick, which what could go wrong there? Now we can pick it back up and move it forward. See, we already have some room. It's starting to move backwards, so we'll just lift it up here. Push it back in a little bit more. Yeah, that's a lot better. That gave us a good amount of room. Now we got to come manipulate our jack. And we're gonna have to go back and forth a few times. And eventually it'll drop in, hopefully. Yeah, this is gonna take some wrestling, that's for sure. So might as well put it in time lapse. This is gonna take a minute. It is a real fight. It's just not long enough. I have about that much more to go, and I've already moved the chain back as far as it'll go, and it's listing to one side. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this chain off, and I'll run a couple bolts here and chain it here and pick it up way back here at the water pump and support it at the back with the jack on the transmission. That should give us enough room to push it the rest of the way in, hopefully. There we go, got it on the front of the engine there. This is gonna give us way more room, and it's gonna turn the engine into the right orientation so we can slip it back here. I'm already supported on the back with the jack. And yeah, it's still gonna be a little rough. We're still gonna have to push it in more, but it's a lot better. Let's see if we can shove this guy in here. Come on. Oh, it's hung up. Probably on the transmission mount now. Gotta go check that out. Okay, what's going on under there? Can't see anything, but oh yeah, the transmission mount's stuck. I'm gonna have to move that jack around a little bit. We'll get it. All right, move the jack around. Get in there. Come on, just go already. Go to your happy place. In there. Get in there. Oh, well, an inch, about an inch more. So close. Well, it's an inch on that side. It's more on this side. We need our pry bar. Come on. In there. Oops. Did that make a difference? I don't think so. There we go. A little bit. Just moving millimeter by millimeter. Get in there. Okay, now we need to lower this and push at the same time. More two people stuff, but I got long arms. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Stop, up. Okay, now my foot appears to be stuck. Yep, it's stuck. There we go. Had to jack that up a little bit to get my foot out. Lovely. Oh man, this is a mess. Pry back just a little bit more. Almost. Oh, well, there we go. Whatever it was stuck on, it's not anymore. So lower this thing down before I hurt myself. This side just needs to be pushed down a little bit more. That side needs to come up just a hair. So up that way, over that way. Where's our pry bar again? This is like the world's best tube pry bar. That's why I never went ahead and put it in a car. This comes in so handy. See that lip? It just needs to come up just a hair and slide in. So let's jack it up just a little bit. Don't lose it out the other side. Yeah, it's almost there. See how close that is? It's right there. There she goes. That should do it. Lower it back down. Boom. Perfect. Now all that we need is our engine mounting bolt to lock it into place. There's one side. See if this other one will slide right into place as well. Yep. Fuel pump's a little bit in the way, but no big deal. Perfect. Locked and loaded. Now I can drop this back down, unhook. And our engine is sitting in there. It has been a long time since the old Monte Carlo has had an engine in it, but it's back in there. Now let's start bolting on the accessories and cleaning up all that transmission fluid that spilled on the floor. Now that we have the engine set, it is time to start putting on the accessories. And the great thing about working on a Monte Carlo is you can just go ahead and step in the engine compartment while the engine's in here and start hooking up your water pump and your pulleys and your alternator. You don't have to lean over it because, you know, there's just that much room in here. Once you get to this stage, it just becomes super easy. Just start putting stuff on. Water pump, I already put the bottom pulley on. Put the alternator on, put the distributor, put the carburetor on, headers on, then we should be about ready to fire it up. Now we got our water pump on, we got our alternator on. I'm gonna drop the distributor back. Remember, we needed a new gasket for the distributor because it was leaking in the back. And we're gonna drop that in there. And remember, it was about 3, not 3 o'clock, but 3, pointing towards plug 3. And we didn't move anything around. At least I don't think we moved anything around. So it should still be right about 3. Sometimes you got to wiggle these around, but the pump really doesn't move much. So just as long as you get it right back in that same groove, the timing should be pretty close. So that's in. Put our hold down in. I'll grab the carburetor and put on here. We'll get some headers. Oh, I already wired a couple things up here. This car should start with the key, if I remember correctly. All the wiring hopefully is right. On the old engine we had a bunch of wires run because none of the electrical works on the Chevelle. So we just had it all jerry-rigged up here. A little hackery going on there. So we'll undo that get rid of these wires here. What was this one? This one was for the distributor. We don't need that anymore because we already have a distributor. So there's all the extra wire out of the way. So we can wire this in properly and hopefully use the key. If not, I'll grab those wires and we'll just get back to our hackery. Well, things are going pretty well so far. I've just been adding a few pieces here and there. I put the other header in and it just slipped right into place. This one, it's so close, and maybe if I wrestled around with it a little bit, it would work, but I'm gonna have to add this one from the bottom. So maybe we could not take this engine out with the headers attached to this one, but it's really close. Maybe if we used a pry bar, but it's just hitting on a steering column. If we didn't have a steering column in there, it would definitely come out. But I'm gonna slip this one up from the bottom and get it bolted into place. We got that one on there. And what's up next? Carburetor's up next. So pro tip, when you're installing headers, get these gaskets that have the little ears on it. That way you can just bolt the header in and then just come in and drop all the gaskets right into place. You don't have to wrestle with them and try to line up the header holes, the gasket holes, and the head bolts holes. Just drop it right in. I put them all in, put all the bolts in the headers, and just dropped all of them right into place, and now it's ready to tighten down. Header's tightened down, spark plugs are in, 184366572 is done, and hopefully I started off with the right spark plug wire going to 1. One thing we did not do that we should have is we should have marked the number 1. Sometimes the number 1's here, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's there. I like to put it right here, just on the other side of the where the battery and the cap all plug in, all terminals right there. So I always try to make that number 1. I'm pretty sure I did, because when I plugged in the spark plug wires, I only have a couple angled boots that go in behind the tubes that are bent right over the spark plugs. So those lined up. So hopefully that was correct. And hopefully we're oriented properly on the distributor. So when we turn this thing over, it just fires up. Dipstick tube is also in, and we have oil in it. Yeah, we didn't leak any oil. No oil got away, just transmission fluid. Finished bolting this down. Put our cheap AutoZone O'Reilly's, wherever that came from, bracket back on, right about something like that. Throttle cable bracket. I usually like to get the big throttle cable bracket that has, you know, so expands and goes on both the upper and lower bolts. It's more beefy and it definitely looks better. But this is what I got, and this is what we're going to use. All right, it's jump ahead time. So I went ahead and wired the distributor. Well, not wired, I just plugged it in. I went and grabbed a battery, and I got the fuel tank, plumbed it to the carburetor. Now everything should be exactly the way it was when it was in the Chevelle. And we are ready to give it a try. So let's plug in the fuel pump. That's going. Make sure we got some fuel, and that's good. We got our distributor, hopefully right where it should be. It's either gonna start or it's not gonna start. So if we did everything right, this just fires. So yeah, let's give it a try. Everything should be right on this. Okay, fingers crossed. I went and got some water and put it up on the fender well, just in case things go bad. But come on, let's do this. Whoa, just like that. That's what I'm talking about. Right? And it turns off by itself. Bam, just like that. All right. I like it when things go as planned. So, but that's really no big surprise. It was, we just pulled it out and we slapped it in here. We already knew it ran, and we already knew it sounded like that. So, nice. Let's unplug this guy before anything happens. All right, oops. Gonna have to get that out of there. I had to plug in the battery charger too, because that was draining. This is old battery. Now, pull all this stuff off, and we have a few more things to do, and then we can go for a test drive. But it's starting to get late in the day. I started late, and I'm finishing late. So we're gonna go pack everything back up and finish this tomorrow. So, drive shaft, we need to put a radiator in. I hooked up the transmission cooler. I still spilled some more on the floor, but we got the transmission cooler hooked in. So, got to put the radiator in. I don't think these hoses are long enough to reach the radiator because this front end's longer. So, I'm gonna have to order or go by the parts store. Maybe they'll have some. Let's see. And our fuel system. Let's look at this real quick. So we got most of the fuel system in here. We have a regulator. We got a fuel pressure gauge there. I cleaned out the trunk. So this is our fuel cell. This is what we're going to use. It needs to be vented, but it's okay for now. It's got a sump here, right there. Can you see that? I've already got the fuel filter on, and the lines are ready for a fuel pump. So we need a Holly. There's the other end of it. This is a dash 10. This is huge. That was like way too big. I did that because, you know, I wanted to put the 5.3 with a turbo on it. So I got giant fuel line, which costs way too much. So dash 10, we need some dash 10 lines. We need the Holly blue fuel pump, but that's not going to stop us from taking it around the block if we can't get that by tomorrow. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up. No, I'm not gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna jump till tomorrow. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'll clean up here, you jump to tomorrow. Ready? And we're back, and it may or may not be the next day actually. It may be several days in the future. But we're here, and we're gonna finish on this Monte Carlo. Now, I was editing the video, and it's already over an hour at this point. So we're gonna kind of rush through some of this so it doesn't linger on for another hour. So I've already started some work. Let's go see what I've done so far. Just some small things like bolting down the transmission cooler. And I haven't done the exhaust yet, but I shoved it up underneath there. And can you see the drive shaft? I went ahead and put the drive shaft in. I also put the fuel pump in, but when I went to add fuel, it all fell out. And that is because these lines right here, they're only a few years old, but the rubber inside has deteriorated because of that new gasoline that we have now. So poured it right in. It fell right back out on the floor. I tried to catch as much of it in the can as possible. So that's about, I don't know, $100 worth of fuel line that is no good because we didn't utilize it. And we let it sit, and it probably had some fuel in it when I parked it. I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, one way or the other, that these fuel lines are no good. This dash 10 all the way up. So that was probably more like $150. So we're gonna have to replace just all of this stuff. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to run off the old boat tank, which will be just fine. So let's get back to buttoning this thing up. We need to put the radiator in. I gotta throw that exhaust in. What else do I have to do? I don't know. We'll do some stuff. We'll get this running, and we are going out for a test drive. I want to put the radiator in. The problem is these hoses. I took these hoses and I cut them down to fit the Chevelle. Now, They should be a little bit too short to fit in this car, but we're gonna have to make do because I went to the parts store. Surprisingly enough, they do not have radiator hoses for a 1977 Chevy Monte Carlo in stock. Go figure. So let's just grab this radiator here and see if we at least come close to getting it in. I'll just slide it down here. Oh boy, that's no, yeah. Oh, that is off. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to do some hackery again today. It's not gonna be good. Look at just how far away this should come out and bend some more. I don't understand. Do I have the right end on here? Maybe I swapped them backwards. I don't know, but we're gonna have to do some stuff. This radiator you're gonna have to come forward quite a bit. Look at the tilt on this thing. This is how far in it's gotta be. It's like 6 inches too short. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna use our bungee cords because the smart thing to do would be to wait and order some, but we're going for a ride in this thing. So we are gonna bungee cord the radiator in. We're not even gonna zip tie it. We're gonna bungee cord it. That's how bad we wanna go for a ride. Get on there. We're taking this out one way or the other. Here we go. Yeah. And here's our other bungee cord right there around the filler neck. And it pulled it back quite a bit. Now let's throw our trash can coolant back in there. And yep, even nothing's going well today. Even the funnel has a crack in it. But if we turn it in just the right direction, it still drains into the radiator. So let's fill this guy up and then move on to what, our exhaust. That's what we should do next. All we have to do is bolt this flanges here and then support it in the back, and that'll be done. So let me get to doing that real quick. Okay, there's one side. There we go. And there's the other side. Nice and tight. There we go. And now I am just going to put on a couple of universal exhaust ties on the rear. Just temporary measure to get it down the road. And then we'll be ordering more parts to get everything correct. But I just want the exhaust to be up there and stay there for our trip. So it seems to be bolted into place and hung with care. Now let's refill our transmission fluid. Oh yeah, the funnel leaks. Do we have a better funnel? Okay, I got another funnel, but it doesn't fit. But if we go ahead and push this funnel through this funnel, yeah, problem solved. I mean, it's still leaking, but it's leaking into the other funnel. Now, let's see. I think we got just about everything hooked up here. No vacuum. I don't have my vacuum booster hooked up, I don't think. Or do I? I don't know. Because it runs to a vacuum canister, but I don't have a plug open on the carburetor or the intake right now, so I guess we're not running any vacuum brakes for right now. We are hacked like no other car ever, but we have to get this thing to run and go down the street. Pull some of these spark plug wires off the headers so they don't burn up. I need some zip ties. Definitely need some zip ties. Okay, let's plug the fuel pump in and let's see if she still starts up. Okay, I'm gonna jump in here and give it a little crank. Whoops. pressure. Sounds pretty good. Let's see if we have any gears. I'm not sure if we have any brakes. Whoop. Okay, there we go, we're moving. We do not have very much brake at all. Let's check this master cylinder out. See if we have brake fluid. And we don't. Where did the brake fluid go? I mean, I put new brakes on this all the way around. I am not sure why we don't have any brake fluid. There's barely any in the front, and there's none in the back. Knowing me, I probably use the brake fluid in another project. Sounds like something I would do. No, not really, but let's get some in there and hopefully we get our brakes back and we don't have a giant leak somewhere. I imagine probably those new brakes we put on are seeping someplace. And let's get this hood off of here. We're not going to bolt it back on because we still got work to do. Or at least I got work to do, but we are going for a test drive. Okay, let's make sure that this fires up again and see if we have some brakes now. Still not much on the brakes. Maybe if I pump them for a little bit, they will come back, but we do not have hardly anything. Whether we have brakes or not, we're still going for a test drive. It would be nice to be able to see a little bit of something. This windshield is filthy. That'll help some. Well, I think it is finally about time for our test drive. I have been looking forward to this for a long time. Now watch it not start. Yeah, she's a-moving. Okay, first time. Oh, fuel pump. Fuel pump is calming down finally. First time out on the street in years upon years. Come on. Oh, okay, come on. Here we go. Just got that spool on the back. Tires are chirping a little bit. Let's throw her down in low one. Get a little bit of smoke out there. We got second gear. Probably, hopefully, what was that? Hope that was a rock. Okay, first gear, second gear, we're in second gear. Third gear, well, we got 3 gears. That's a good thing. I'm a little concerned about the smoke that's probably burning off the headers there. Well, the speedo works, so I hooked that up, but we definitely are not going 60 miles an hour. We got some gears in this one. I did find a vacuum port on the intake, but wow, I just do not have brakes. Not much at all. Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little excited and a lot scared all at the same time, because this has not been out on the road in forever, and there's still a lot of little things that we need to get done to it. I don't think we're doing a full run around the block because we keep losing fuel, when it's getting good fuel, it should be a lot quieter than that. And it is screaming at me right now. So let's do the old bust a U and head back to the shop. All right. Well, reverse works. For those gears, I think it's got, what I say, 342 gears in it. That mini spool, it just makes it tough to turn. There we go. I can hear those tires. Oh, we died. We died, and I think we ran out of fuel pump. Let's get her off to the side of the road here. So this fuel pump is really screaming. I don't know why, but it's not sucking fuel very good. Maybe I just have it tilted. Maybe it's just out. There we go. Let's tilt that up a little bit. I don't think the tube came out of the gasoline there a little bit. Hopefully that's the only thing that's wrong with it. I'm gonna go outside and check everything real quick, make sure we're still good to go there. Let's have a quick look around. Make sure we're not leaking anything. Normally I wouldn't care, but this is a special car and it means a lot. If it caught on fire, I would it would just be over. I've had this car for so long. Everything looks good out here. I'm pretty sure we were just out of fuel, so let's give her a try. See if we can't get back to the shop. All right, give her a couple pumps. Ugh, there she goes. Yep, just out of fuel, or you know. There we go. Not bad though. Let's give her a little something here. Yeah, she's stammering a little bit. Of course, we didn't set the timing or anything. She's running. Actually, it's not so bad, as long as we don't give it too much gas. Yeah, I think our timing's off. Our fuel might not be getting enough fuel, might be running out of fuel still. Our timing might be off a little bit, but well, she's going. She's running pretty good right now. Starting to slow down a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's get her back to the shop and look her over, make sure nothing weird is going on. Man, it feels good to drive this car. Like I said, it's just been so long since I've even been out on the road with this thing. That is nice. Oh yeah, brakes. They're coming back around. Brakes are coming back. So we probably got some air in the lines right now. I have to go around and bleed all those guys out. Yeah, let's pull up in here. Okay, we pulled in and we just lost the bottom radiator hose. So that's a thing. Good thing we didn't make shut that off. Good thing we didn't make the trip all the way around the block. Okay, well there's that. But besides that, I'd call it a success. Yeah, that blew right on off of there. Okay, stretched it a little bit too far. Okay, I don't know if we call that a successful test drive or not, but it's back out on the road. It runs, it moves, it goes forward, it goes backwards. It kind of stops, kind of doesn't. Probably bleed the brakes, but I like the rims on it. I think we'll just keep these rims on here. We'll order a new set of rims for the Chevelle. So yeah, this car's not going anywhere. We'll order parts somewhere down the line over the winter. We'll continue working on this car. So I'm motivated now. It runs. I can drive it. So we are going to work on it. So that's what you need to do, folks. Just make them run. It runs. And now you're going to want to work on it. And you're going to want to drive it some more, because I definitely want to drive it more. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Street Rat Garage. Until next time.